Location: National Youth Leadership Debate, Washington, D.C. Backstage at the Grand Auditorium, the buzz was electric. Camera crews darted between cables, interns clutched clipboards, and the muffled sound of the crowd beyond the curtain gave the whole moment a surreal weight. Barron Trump stood center stage in the green room, adjusting the cuffs of his blazer, his expression a practiced mixture of boredom and bravado. He was tall, calm, and surrounded by a small entourage of young aides and brand managers. One of them offered him a bottle of sparkling water, which he waved off with a casual flick of his wrist. "I've read 2 Thomas Sowell books," Barron said with a self-assured grin, pacing slowly. "And I skimmed that Rogan episode with the neuroscientist. I'm good. Locked in." His lead aide, a skinny, anxious Yale sophomore named Trevor, looked up from a thick folder of briefing materials and gave a tight smile. "She's a lawyer, Barron," Trevor muttered, eyes darting toward the stage door. "You know she was a public defender before Congress, right? She's sharp. Like, surgically sharp." Barron rolled his eyes and sat down in the high-backed leather chair, brushing a hand through his neatly styled hair. "Trevor, relax. This whole thing's theater. People don't care about foot Natessa, they want someone who sounds confident. I don't have to win a trial, I just have to win Twitter." Trevor hesitated, then lowered his voice. "She's already trending and she hasn't said a word. You sure you don't want to review that SCOTUS cheat sheet again? You mixed up the 14th and First Amendments in rehearsal." Barron shot him a look. "I'm not here to be a nerd. I'm here to represent the next generation. If she throws legalese at me, I'll hit her with plain truth." People love that. From the side of the room, a producer's voice echoed, 2 minutes. The energy shifted. Barron stood, adjusted his jacket again, and stared into the mirror. Behind him, Trevor looked like he was whispering a prayer. Barron smirked at his own reflection and said under his breath, "Time to go viral." The door swung open. Lights blazed from the hallway. "Showtime." The lights dimmed in the auditorium as the booming voice of the announcer echoed over the loudspeakers, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the National Youth Leadership Debate." The audience erupted in applause, flashing phones lighting up like fireflies as Barron Trump stepped onto the stage from the right, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett entered from the left with quiet confidence and a firm nod to the crowd. Barron offered a quick wave and a practiced smile, soaking in the moment. He adjusted his mic and squared his shoulders, standing tall behind the podium. Across from him, Jasmine Crockett gave him a brief, polite nod and no smirk, no tension, just calm focus. She wore a tailored navy suit and a subtle gold pin in the shape of the U.S. Constitution. The moderator, seated between them, gave a brisk smile. "Our opening round is simple, each participant will answer the same question, and you'll have 60 seconds. Let's begin." The first question lit up the screen behind them: what is the role of the 14th Amendment in modern civil rights law? Barron stepped forward confidently, taking the first response. "Well," he began, with the rehearsed tone, "obviously the 14th Amendment is, like, one of the most important parts of the Constitution because it makes everything a broken bar fair. It's meant to balance the woke mobs and, like, give everyone equal vibes or something. Like, equality, sure, but also freedom. The founders were all about freedom, and anti-cancel culture, if you think about it." There was a brief pause. Some polite clapping. A few puzzled looks. A muffled cough in the second row. Jasmine stepped up next without hesitation. Her voice was steady, precise. "The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, guarantees due process and equal protection under the law. It is the legal foundation of nearly every major civil rights decision in this country's history. Without it, we wouldn't have Brown v. Board, Roe v. Wade, or Obergefell v. Hodges. It ensures that no state can deny a person basic rights. It's not about a vibes, it's about equal justice. Full stop. The room responded immediately. Applause surged, louder and more sustained. Barron's jaw tightened slightly. He glanced at the moderator, then down at his notepad, where his own handwriting read, "Founders equals freedom equals anti-cancel equals Diane." He scribbled something in the margins, trying to recover. Crockett stood calmly, folding her hands in front of her, already knowing the tone was shifting. She hadn't raised her voice. She didn't need to. She had just quietly, surgically, carved through his opening with facts. The moderator glanced at Barron. "You'll have a chance for rebuttal in the next round." Barron smiled weakly, but his eyes flicked nervously toward the crowd. He hadn't even noticed how quiet they'd gotten when he spoke. The second round began with a noticeable shift in the room's energy. Barron's earlier confidence had thinned. The crowd, once buzzing with curiosity and anticipation, had grown more attentive, more measured. Jasmine Crockett stood poised, arms relaxed at her sides, eyes sharp. She didn't fidget, didn't check notes. She simply waited. The moderator's voice cut through the tension. "Mr. Trump, your question, can you explain what gerrymandering is and how it affects our democratic process?" A spotlight hit Barron. He straightened his back and leaned into the microphone, trying to recapture his earlier bravado. "Totally," he began, voice a bit too loud. "So, gerrymandering is like cheating, basically. It's when they, put too many Democrats in a room. Or, maybe it's when they redraw maps with scissors or whatever. Like, they cut things up so your vote doesn't count. It's messed up." He paused, scanning the audience for a reaction. There were a few scattered chuckles, but not the kind he wanted. A group of students in the second row exchanged side eyes. One of them tapped something into her phone. Barron glanced down at his own notes, where cheating plus scissors ? Was circled in blue pen. The moderator, expression neutral, turned to Congresswoman Crockett. "Your response?" Without missing a beat, she stepped forward and spoke clearly, almost gently, as though correcting a bright student who had strayed a bit too far. "Gerrymandering is the strategic manipulation of electoral district boundaries by a political party to gain an advantage. It often dilutes the power of certain voting blocs at typically communities of color or politically disadvantaged groups. It's not done with scissors. It's done with software, data, and voter rolls. And it's been used by both parties, but the Supreme Court has largely left it unchecked, which is why reform is essential." The audience applauded again, this time louder. A few people stood. Barron blinked. "Wait," he said into the mic, trying to mask the panic behind a grin. "What's that case you just said?" Shelby Holder?" Jasmine tilted her head slightly. "Shelby v. Holder. A 2013 Supreme Court decision that gutted the Voting Rights Act. It's the reason many southern states can now pass restrictive voting laws without federal oversight. It's not a seashell. It's the law." The moderator cleared his throat, trying not to smile. "Thank you, Congresswoman. Mr. Trump, do you have a rebuttal?" Barron opened his mouth, but nothing came out. He flipped through his notebook, scanning random notes. MLK equals peaceful protest, woke equals bad, Jerry equals old guy. His eyes darted toward his aide in the wings, who shrugged helplessly. "Can I phone a friend?" he asked, half laughing into the mic. There was a brief pause, then an eruption of laughter from the audience. "Not with him. At him." He tried to laugh along. It came out strained. The camera zoomed in just enough to catch the way his fingers tightened around his pen. Backstage, the green room was buzzing with muted chaos. A producer barked into a headset. Interns rushed between laptops and clipboards. Monitors on the wall replayed the final moments of the debate on loop. Barron Trump froze in mid-sentence, blinking in confusion, while Jasmine Crockett delivered her closing statement with quiet precision. The room wasn't just watching a debate, they had witnessed a dissection. Barron sat on the couch, slouched and paled, staring at the floor. His blazer was unbuttoned, his tie slightly loosened. The confident smirk that had defined his entrance was long gone. His phone buzzed endlessly beside him, lighting up with notifications and none of which he seemed eager to check. His aide, Trevor, hovered nearby, chewing nervously on a pen cap. "So broken bar good energy out there," he said weakly, immediately regretting it. Barron shot him a glare. "I'm just saying, some of your one-liners might play well on social media," Trevor added, trying to soften the blow. Barron finally picked up his phone. He taped into X, formerly Twitter. His face slowly fell. #Barron Beatdown was trending at number 1. #Shitco was at number 3. "Can I phone a friend?" had already become a meme template. Someone had edited his face into a "Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?" screenshot. A popular TikTok had already mashed up Crockett's "It's not a seashell, it's the law," with a bass drop. MSNBC's Chiron Reed, Barron Trump, a study in unpreparedness. A Fox News panel was debating whether Crockett had been too aggressive, but even there, one of the hosts had to admit she ate him alive on substance. He scrolled further. A conservative influencer posted, "Love Barron, but yikes. This was rough." Someone else had posted a fake book cover, 14th Amendment for Dummies, a foreword by Barron Trump. Even Elon had chimed in with a cryptic "INFY section." Barron sighed, rubbing his temples. "Can I still run for governor someday?" he mumbled. Trevor hesitated. "Maybe. Like, your Minecraft server." Barron didn't laugh. He just stared blankly at the monitor, where Jasmine Crockett was now shaking hands with audience members, smiling with quiet grace as flash bulbs popped around her. Somewhere in the crowd, someone held up a sign that read, in bold black Sharpie, "It's not about vibes. It's about facts." And for the first time that night, Barron had no comeback.